Hi, welcome to the conclusion of this limited series, I Will Always Love You. It's a song, sure, but it's a story about gratitude and generosity. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "It is one of the true compensations of this life that a man cannot help another without also helping himself." It's a good thought. As we've looked at this song, I Will Always Love You, we've talked about the nature of how the song was written, how it was performed by Dolly, then re-released in another version by Whitney Houston. We've talked about the success of the song. We've talked about the attitudes among those that were singing it. And I also want to remind you that God has an amazing way of blessing you when you do those things that honor Him. And you do things in the right way. And you're careful to make the best choices. Here is a little known truth, secret, behind the scenes detail about the song that I think just makes the whole story a lot more fun, especially when you talk about gratitude and generosity. Remember, Dolly Parton was very grateful for the gifts that she has, the success that she's had, and she's very humble about that. And she also is generous, but she also is wise. Here's what you don't know about the song, I Will Always Love You. She was approached by an artist who was well known at the time, who asked for the permission and of course wanted to pay for the rights to perform the song. But they put one condition on the song, that their version would get 50% of the royalties that came from the song. That is not the standard agreement. That's not the normal agreement that's there. It was a demand made by an artist who was very successful, who saw the song as an opportunity to be a hit, recognized the value of the song, recognized the talent of Miss Parton, and wanted to make the song their song, and probably would have made it a mega hit. Would it ever have been the hit that it was with Whitney Houston? Probably not. But in thinking about it and thinking about the demand to want more money for that song than would have been reasonable for any other artist, Dolly Parton, in her infinite wisdom, said, "No, I'm not going to do it." And then when that negotiation went back to the artist that wanted to record it, the artist and his management team stepped away from it and said, "Then we won't record the song. We don't need it." Now, I know by now you're thinking to yourself, who was that artist that wanted to record the song that we never got to hear record it because they wanted half the rights or half the royalties to the song? And Dolly said, "No, I'm not going to let you do that." That artist, it's a name that you probably have heard before, one you're probably familiar with. People have called him the King. His name, Elvis Presley. And Elvis Presley wanted to record the song, and he said, "Dolly, can I record the song?" And she said, "No. You're not going to do it, not that way, not that way. We're not going to break the normal agreements that I would have." And so Elvis and the Colonel and the team said, thank you very much, and walked away. It opened the door and paved the way for years later for Whitney Houston to come along and record the song. And because Dolly was willing to say no to Elvis, who at the time certainly was and is a force in music, no doubt about it, she waited for Whitney Houston to come along, and the rest is history. How much history, you might ask? Well, this is where that whole idea behind gratitude and generosity comes into play. I don't know why God works the way He does. I don't know how money works in these arenas like this. But as of last count, when we are recording this particular episode, as of this morning, when I ran the numbers on it and tried to look up this number, Dolly Parton, because of Whitney Houston's version of the song alone, has grossed over $11 million in royalties for a song that she wrote that was recorded by another artist. That's the running count to this day, based on songs sold, streams, all of those things that come into that as revenue streams, simply because she was willing to stay with the deal as it was, give Whitney the permission to use the song, with the agreement that they would continue to have the same relationship that they had with every other song that was out there being recorded. Whitney made no demands. Dolly said yes, trusted that, said no to what at the time could have been a more popular artist And the end result, $11 million in your pocket. Not bad. I think at the end of the day, we forget there is value and there's reward that comes from faithfulness. Oh, it's not always money, although money can be a fun one for a lot of people. But it's in the give and take of life. It's in the moments of joy and the moments of happiness. The song is a misunderstood song. As I mentioned early on, it's often listed by people as potential wedding songs, and it's the world's worst wedding song. But because it's a song about love, and what makes the song enduring and so much more popular are the artists that had hits with it. Dolly Parton, who people like, Whitney Houston, who people like. And somehow, because they did a song about love with a catchy title, they think that it's a grand and glorious love song. Maybe it is. But I think that at the end of the day, the story behind the song and the story of what happened with the song is much more intriguing than the song itself. But when you hear the song, knowing the story and knowing what happens and knowing the lessons that you can learn from the song will make the song much more enjoyable. I guarantee it. And so remember, next time you hear I Will Always Love You, remember the stories of gratitude and generosity that happened behind the scenes to make that such a hit. Be thankful for the song if you like it. Be thankful for the fact you don't have to listen to it if you don't. But at the end of the day, always remember to have an attitude of gratitude. It makes all the difference.